Somehow, through the ceaseless winds of time, Battletoads Arcade, otherwise known as Super Battletoads, has become a disregarded relic of the past. To say that it has fallen into the shadow of its older and far more popular NES brother is, perhaps, to give it too much credit. For most people, even fans of the original game, Battletoads Arcade is a completely unknown entity. Released in 1994, 3 years after the NES original and 2 years after console successors Battletoads and Battlemaniacs and Battletoads Double Dragon, Battletoads Arcade would inadvertently become the swan song of the franchise. A poor arcade release saw the title flounder and underperform sales expectations, despite early indications from market and playtests that the game would do well. Untethered from the constraints of home console hardware and the paternal eye of publisher Nintendo, the developer, Rare, were free to boundlessly explore their more violent and lascivious tendencies, with arcade hardware more than up to the task of coalescing that vision. Battletoads Arcade features franchise protagonists Rash, Pimple, and Zitz, fighting their way through 6 levels of fast-paced beat-em-up action, replete with a level of blood, gore, and crude humor that may have taken younger fans of the franchise by complete surprise. And action is the word du jour. While the home console entries in the series included some degree of platforming and some notoriously difficult level navigation challenges, Battletoads Arcade jettisons the extra weight of those mechanics for the white-knuckle thrill of the melee. Hordes of mutant rats, pigs, snakes, snowmen, moose, and more descend upon our slimy heroes in a bid to halt them from upsetting the nefarious plans of the Dark Queen. In a simple layout reminiscent of other genre greats like Turtles in Time and The Simpsons, controls are relegated to jump and attack buttons. Double tapping the joystick in either direction initiates a dash that can culminate into a special dash attack. Area denial attacks are triggered by a context-sensitive press of the attack button when surrounded by enemies. Grapples are initiated in close quarters, and attacks to downed opponents are possible when walking over their grotesque forms. Level highlights include a bonus stage in the vein of Street Fighter II, and an on-rail shooting segment that borrows heavily from Contra. True to the franchise's roots, Battletoads Arcade features a level of difficulty reserved only for the intrepid gamers among us. The game starts hard, stays hard, and gets only harder. Difficulty does not scale according to player count, meaning correspondingly that teaming up with 2 other friends should yield far less frustration and far less quarters spent. Graphically and aurally, Battletoads Arcade stands leagues above its console counterparts, featuring large, colorful sprites, unique character voiceover, detail-rich BGMs, and an array of quasi-3D effects that served as an experimental testbed for later efforts such as Killer Instinct and Donkey Kong Country. Moment-to-moment gameplay is aided by responsive controls, precise collision detection, and a surplus of visual feedback for the player's actions. Hits feel satisfyingly crunchy, and the corresponding blood splatters serve as a macabre reward for each demented foe vanquished. Battletoads Arcade occupies a peculiar spot in Battletoads franchise history and, indeed, in gaming history. While it was common practice for coin-op hits to make their way to the home console, the reverse was not usually true. Rare relied on a built-in console fanbase for Battletoads to carry their arcade effort to widespread success and accolade. Unfortunately, this was never meant to be, as the arcade rendition of the fearsome mutant trio thrust itself too far out ahead of its time and, perhaps, too far out ahead of its youthful fanbase. Nevertheless, Rare's efforts to push the boundaries of hardware, genre, and even taste merit them high praise today, if only in retrospect. This has been Battletoads Arcade, and my name is Stinger911. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, farewell.